Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a tool designed to give you a clear stock signal at a glance, the Ichimoku Scorecard. We're going to break down exactly how you can read it so you can start separating the real signal from all that noise.
Look, if you're an investor, you know the feeling, right? You're drowning in information overload. You've got charts, news, opinions. It is just so much noise. Well, that's exactly where a tool like the Ichimoku Scorecard is supposed to help. It's designed to cut right through the clutter with a single structured signal. Let's dive in and see how it works.
All right, before we even look at a single stock, we have to understand the three core parts of the scorecard. Think of them as the three key pieces of the puzzle. Once you get these, everything else just kind of falls into place.
First up, you've got the Ichimoku rating. This is your big headline number, a simple score 1 to 10. The higher the number, the stronger and clearer the technical signal. A 10, that's as good as it gets. A 4, on the other hand, well, that's a sign to maybe pump the brakes.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. The current state column is the story behind that number. It's a short little description that tells you why a stock has the score it does. This is all the context, and honestly, it is absolutely crucial.
And finally, we have the action bias. So what do you actually do with all this info? This part is the tactical suggestion. Based on the score and the story, it tells you what an investor might want to consider doing next. It translates all that analysis into a potential action. So when you look at this table, it's a really simple three-step scan. First, you check the score to see how strong the signal is. Then you read the current state to understand the why. And finally, you look at the action bias for a tactical idea. That's it. Score, story, strategy.
All right, let's put this into practice. We're going to start with the all-stars, the stocks that have the highest ratings possible. These are perfect examples of what a clear, powerful, and totally unambiguous signal looks like in this system.
We are talking about perfect scores, a 10 out of 10. This is the system basically screaming at you that all the technical pieces are aligned in a super bullish way. It is the gold standard.
So take a look at these two examples, Hero MotoCorp and Lumax Ind, both scoring a perfect 10. You'll notice their current state descriptions are really brief and confident, and the action bias suggests holding the position, or even adding to it. This is exactly what peak strength looks like on the scorecard.
In this language is a perfect illustration. You see things like price far above cloud. What does that mean? It just means the price is well above a key support zone. Or clean cloud breakout, meaning it's decisively moved higher. The language is confident and super clear. There's no maybe or if in these descriptions.
Okay, so not every good signal is going to be a perfect 10. Let's look at the next tier down, the contenders. These are stocks with really solid ratings, but there are some conditions attached. You've got to read these with a bit more nuance.
And you can really see the difference in the language here. For those strong signals, you see these power words like breakout and momentum. But for these conditional plays, we see words like forming, turning, or retest. That kind of language is a clue that the setup is maybe still developing, or it needs some kind of confirmation.
Now have a look at Gemna Auto at a 7.5 and Canara Bank at a 7.4. I mean, these are solid scores, right? But they're not perfect 10s. Something in their current state is telling us to pay a little closer attention. And here it is. This is the catch. For Gemna Auto, the daily chart looks great, but the weekly chart is still forming. For Canara Bank, the suggestion is to add on retest, which means, hey, wait for the price to pull back a bit before jumping in. The signal's good, but it's telling you to be patient. Finally, let's go to the other end of the spectrum, the weak signals. You know, knowing what to avoid is sometimes even more important than knowing what to buy. These are the stocks that this system flags as, well, cautionary tales.
Okay, time for the red flags. Here's INFOSS at a 5.8. And look at Root Mobile, all the way down at a 4. These low scores aren't just numbers. They're big, flashing warning signs, and their descriptions tell us exactly why.
I mean, the language here could not be clearer. For Infosys, it says inside cloud, which it calls a transition zone, basically a period of indecision. For Root Mobile, it's not even subtle. It just says mixed/risky, with an action bias of avoid. The system is literally telling you to just stay away until things change dramatically.
This chart just ties it all together so well, doesn't it? On the far left, you've got the all-star, Hero MotoCorp, with that perfect 10. In the middle, our contender, Gemna Auto, with a solid but conditional 7.5. And all the way on the right, that big cautionary signal from Root Mobile at a 4. You can see the entire spectrum of signal strength all in one place.
So, after looking at all that, what's the big lesson here? It's really not about just chasing the highest numbers. It's about learning to read the full story that the scorecard is trying to tell you.
So to recap, it really boils down to this. The number is just your starting point. The current state, that's where the real story is. The action bias is your tactical guide for what to do next. And, as we've clearly seen, not all signals are created equal. A 10 is a world away from a 4.
Ultimately, this whole thing is about more than just numbers. It's about building discipline. By using a full structure like this, the score, the story, and the strategy, you're not just chasing hot tips. You're building a deeper, more nuanced understanding that might just help take some of the emotion out of your decisions.
And that really leaves us with one big question to chew on. In a world of emotional markets and just endless noise, is adopting a clear, rules-based system like this one the key to making more disciplined and maybe even better investment decisions? Definitely something to think about.